Enable notifications by ringing the bell.
Well, Hugh Jackman may no longer be Wolverine.
He said he would come back to do it if it was in Marvel's hands.
So Hugh Jackman might not be done. But in terms of his movies for Fox, he is pretty much done.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
I can think of no more of a proper send-off that he can have than what he had with Logan.
Man, it was real good.
Logan, I feel, is probably... Okay, I have an upper echelon of favorite X-Men movies.
Mm-hmm.
The bad ones, you know, there are fewer bad ones than there are good ones.
So, on the list of bad ones, 3, obviously.
X-Men Origins Wolverine is probably my
yeah, that one's real bad, too.
That one's probably my least favorite. 3.
Yeah.
Apocalypse.
Fair.
And then we get into the mid-grade ones.
All right.
Mid to high.
So, probably X-Men 1 and 2.
Well, X-Men 1.
Really?
Yep. X-Men 1.
All right.
And then we have the Wolverine.
Yeah, all right. That one's a little weird.
The ending is what got me. Everything up into like the final 30 minutes, I was absolutely just like 100% on board.
Sounds like Breath of the Wild.
Oh God, don't go there.
Too late.
But okay, yeah, it is too late. You said it. All right.
Boy,
So anyway, from the Wolverine, we then get the evening out of the middle ones.
Mm-hmm.
With 2.
2 is right between, like, mid-grade and high?
Yes. I think it's better than the first one, but...
It is definitely better than the first one.
But not... for me, as I watched it, as I've gotten older, I've become more critical of it, and I've seen some of the plot lines and plot holes that don't mesh up, and I'm just like, yeah, that could have been done better, this could have been done better. Mm-hmm. And then we get into the upper echelon, which the upper echelon is chock full of, like, the best of the best.
Oh, yeah.
We have X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
And then we have Days of Future Past.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Logan.
The very top of the
Logan
list.
is my favorite one. And the reason why is because it just has such a great story. It's a simple, basic story. You've seen it in video. Like, honestly, people said this is just The Last of Us, the movie. Which, in some cases, I can see. Especially with, Logan looking like Logan. And X-23 looking like Ellie from...
I mean, it's Last of Us, but with knife hands.
Yeah. And a knife feet when it comes to Ellie.
And knife feet.
Yeah, if Ellie had... Knife feet and knife hands, yeah. Which she's already deadly enough. I mean, she's got that switchblade on her. Good luck, everybody else. So,
man, I'm really excited for Last of Us Part 2.
You're not the only one.
So good.
Me and Heather actually have a little competition in mind going for it. We can't skip the cutscenes, but whoever finishes the game first on normal difficulty wins.
I don't know what y'all are gonna win, but.
Well, it's just a competition to see who finishes first.
Maybe I'll think of something.
Well, it's just like the video game's done quick. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, they have competitions side by side, and I figured, hey, why not do one for like a game that's never been played before?
Yeah,
kind of like The Wizard, except actually good.
So we're gonna have to iron out some rules on that, like. Do you all want to have to do like simul stream or?
Well, she can do her on her channel. I can do on mine, and we both have. We're both going to be in the same. If you want, we can both be in the same room, and we both have to start at the same time.
Well, but like you both have to play at the same time. So like Heather's big advantage, I think, is that she never closes.
Well, yeah, she never sleeps, but But honestly, I completed The Last of Us in one night. I completed the first one in one night on normal difficulty.
Well,
first
I guess-
time playing it. I did that on Twitch. My butt was killing me, but you know
Yeah.
what? It was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had playing a game. Once I started, I couldn't stop. I couldn't put it down.
That's fair.
I was just like, holy crap, this is amazing. But
So
yeah.
Heather's big advantage is null and void. So this is going to be real interesting.
Yeah, and plus we can both have a simultaneous timer. You know, clicking on both of us, so you both know how long we've both been playing.
I wonder if we can set up a different, like a widget for that. I'll look into
Probably.
it.
Probably.
I'll look into it.
Is prep time allowed? Because, I mean, Batman can beat anybody with enough prep time.
Well,
Are you
the
going to
only
have,
thing-
like, Domino's already ordered sitting there with, like, a 2-liter or something, so you don't have to, like...
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, heck, hey Domino's, if you want to sponsor this playthrough, talk to us.
I mean,
You know,
yeah,
call us.
we'll order you both a
the money.
order you both a pizza and
Like a
drink of choice.
foot pedal operated spring-loaded robot pizza arm that shoots in and...
Micah, please don't make me build a foot
No,
pedal
no.
operated
You don't-
spring-loaded
no,
robot
no.
pizza.
You
You
can,
don't
get
have
you can get everything off Amazon now. I'm
No,
sure
you don't have to.
prime it in there and
Well,
it'll just
but also
pizza robot arm.
I will act as the runner. So like, if you guys need a drink, I will run to the kitchen and get it.
Well, all of it will count against us. You know, if we take a break to eat pizza, or if we take a break to go to the bathroom.
Time not playing.
Yeah, that counts on the timer.
I am not gonna make it easier for you to go to the bathroom. I am not going that far for this.
No, you don't have to make it easy for me to go to the bathroom. I mean, honestly, it's just...
Easier to go to the bathroom. Empty Gatorade bottle. Done.
Oh, Micah.
So anyway, we're here to watch CinemaWins for Logan. I ain't never seen a CinemaWins before.
So, these are good, dude. These are all, like, very good,
I've heard good things. I've heard a lot of, like, you guys really should do CinemaWins because it's, you know, like, way less arbitrary.
Yeah.
Because sometimes CinemaSins, it's a little arbitrary.
Well, honestly, CinemaWins, they have their formula, and it works. I mean, look, they've got over 6 million subscribers. They've got a hell of a lot of fans, and hey, they'll always have my support because not only because they came out in support of us, but because they also support, you know, fair use. They also support full fair use, like and given how popular they are online, and given how inspirational they've been for other movie review channels and other channels focusing on movie reviews. I mean, anytime on the internet,
Keep
ahead.
rambling. I gotta take a phone call.
anytime somebody says the word movie sins, they know what do you exactly think of? Cinema sins. Now, hopefully, whenever it becomes, if movie wins becomes a thing, I hope CinemaWins achieves the same level of success. I hope so, because honestly, you need both sides of the coin in order to truly understand and truly digest everything. I mean, you've got the negativity, and you've got the occasional thumbs up from CinemaSins, but CinemaWins, you have the overwhelming positivity, but every now and again, they're just like, okay, there's no defending this, or at least I hope so, because I just saw that they did a review for The Last Airbender. No, there is nothing great about that film. Nothing. Jackson Rathbone is a nightmare. I will say this: the only thing I will give proper credit for is Noah Ringer as Aang, and not Ung. It's Aang. There's 2 A's. Aang. There's no in there. There's not like a freaking umlaut over top of the A. But anyway, yeah. So Logan, my favorite X-Men film. Micah, is it? Where do you place it in terms of like X-Men films?
All right. I mean, it was good. There's not an X-Men movie that I was really that into that I really care to rank them. I mean, style-wise, I really like the Wolverine, but I mean, that's obvious.
Well, yeah, there you go.
My Asian fetish.
Okay, that's weird.
Okay, Micah. Just
Phrasing.
Say it. Heritage. Just say it. Heritage.
Phrasing. Boom.
Yeah, I don't know. I did like Days of Future Past was really fun for me. I really liked that.
I did too. That one was my favorite up until Logan came out.
That's not saying that Logan wasn't extremely well done. I liked it quite well.
So the phone call I took was Heather. And she called me for 2 reasons. Number one, she's on the way back. she had to take Skylar to swim lessons. It's very cute.
Yeah.
Number 2, and this is the really important thing.
What happened?
The ice cream truck stopped while she was dropping Skylar off. So she got a Sonic ice cream.
Nice.
Like a Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, anyway. But, so yeah, Heather will be here soon enough.
Yes.
But we're going to do this.
But until then, we have this CinemaWins video.
Yay.
Let's give it a watch.
Do the thing. Mm-hmm. Avert or squint your eyes. You've been warned. Good.
Hey, it's true. This is the more violent. This is the most violent X-Men movie.
Good.
Marvel Comics won't be one-upped by Marvel Studios. I do really enjoy the new X-Men themed logo, though. So this is where we are. This is where we are in time, and this is where Logan is. So much neatly summed up before the title card. All with very little exposition.
Yeah.
He's a broken down, Uberish driver at the end of his rope. Was that metal shattering against his adamantium spine? As you can imagine, brutal wins come up pretty frequently. And the beginning to this film sets the stage. So brutal. I will say I'm glad that this first scene separates itself from the Old Man Logan comic by not giving us Logan the pacifist, so we know what to expect. Never gets old.
Yeah,
although
we
the
didn't
extra
see
blood
the
definitely makes it feel worse.
one that went up through the guy's chin. They cut that one out because it was a little too much.
One thing Mangold does surprisingly well is blend the somewhat lacking celebrity of the X-Men in previous films that is present in this film with the real world in which these characters exist. What a confusing sentence. Basically, I appreciate that they're known as heroes in this future, whether it's all exaggerated or not.
I'm a fan, by the way.
Steve Murphy may not be able to speak Spanish very well, but he's got that Western drawl down. Seriously, Boyd Holbrook embodies a sort of flippant Western villain like a champ. I really love the way this film treats us like adults, which
that guy's actually from Texas.
Anyway. But there's no heavy-handed exposition where Pierce asks Logan what he's doing, and he awkwardly explains. We get a few cuts of him driving people across the border and alerted to him being on a first-name basis with the border crossing guard.
Hey, Sam.
Make way, sir.
I said make way! The new Quesalupa from Taco Bell!
Patrick Stewart is always a win, and he doesn't even care.
You're the man who puts me to sleep.
You both could use some sleep.
Well, you're both gonna get some. A dark look at Xavier's powers that probably wouldn't be a story focus in a PG-13 film.
Nope.
The idea that his decaying mind, still empowered with telepathy, would lash out like this is seriously frightening.
Off, Logan.
Well, that's not something I ever thought I'd hear. I can't decide if this is ruining my memories or enhancing them. Let's go with altering for now.
It's Charles Xavier at the end of his line. I mean, honestly.
25 years.
So it's 2029. That puts the last mutant being born around 2004, which is 1 year after the events of the original Statue of Liberty event that Xavier was talking about.
Waiting for you at the Statue of Liberty.
So 12 to 16 years later in 2016-2020, they'd be noticing a drop-off in New Mutants coming of age. Interestingly, this gives credence to Beast's statement in Days of Future Past about the time stream correcting itself. They stopped the Sentinels from destroying mutant kind, but right around the same time, mutants are dying off.
Damn. He's right.
Pursuing a career as a cage fighter.
For instance, nothing was going to keep Logan from becoming a cage fighter.
I gave you a family.
They're gone now.
Logan, what did you do?
I like that subtle misdirection for those who do know the Old Man Logan story. A super terrible image, but another painful reality of what an aging Logan might have to deal with. Wolverine version of, like, urinary retention.
Ooh.
The use of light, and specifically light beams in this film, is stunning. Especially when you switch over to the black and white version, which I highly recommend.
Oh, that's real cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know they
Gross.
did that.
And
Oh, yeah.
apparently it is gross.
So-
British fruitcake?
Found this in your pocket. Adamantium.
Well, there's Chekhov's bullet.
Yep.
What's up, kid?
This score barely belongs in a comic book movie at all. But wow, does it capture melancholy with a touch of understated tension superbly.
Yeah, it's real good.
I told you, bad girl.
No, stop.
Mama Stephen's gonna have to pay for that.
Saving this lady from a painful stabbing death.
Where are you keeping the old man? That'd be smart. I'd like to meet him.
I love this fanboy persona that Boyd has adopted. He's a vicious killer trying to murder kids, but he's gonna get a few autographs along the way if he can.
America's most wanted octogenarian.
I'm a nonagenarian, actually.
Age, honesty, and a vocab lesson.
That's pretty great.
You gotta love that she shows no fear knowing who and what are coming for her. Even with the reveal of who Laura is, even with this exact scene in the trailer, it's still so awesome. Especially the look on Logan's face as he realizes what her mutation is.
No. No.
And Pierce's response is totally appropriate and hilarious. Look at that Reaver's beard. Couple of beautiful beard wins amongst these mercs. Even better than Tank Legs. And Laura is like Hannah on speed and steroids. And a pure hatred for people's femoral arteries.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I guess you can torture kids if it's understood that they can heal? Brutal. Yep, she's got a foot knife. It's a foot knife, everyone. And let's talk about Daphne's physicality. Holy martial arts and
Yeah,
gymnastics
no.
skills.
She's ridiculous. She's so good.
well, she's a.
Love that Logan just knows. Well, if she really is,
Very much like you.
then I can ram this car into her and it'll be no
Well,
big deal.
she
Being
was a-
dragged
she's
around
a
while
trained
tangled up in
gymnast,
barbed
so
wire
she's
while
got-
trying to shoot your target. That's some
she's got
corporate
moves.
loyalty.
That's some corporate loyalty. You gotta respect that.
Me, or did it just get a little Mad Maxy in here? Like in every sense of the name. Have to love this Western-style standoff after nearly dodging a train, nonetheless. I can
Man.
sort of buy this. An exaggerated or mutated look at being a sewer-dwelling albino.
These two.
No.
Not okay.
Murder lessons. And a parenting win. I like that even though X-24 ends up being a clone, his body parts all laying around are a subtle reference to Albert. Avalanche. And Bolt. So maybe the events of Origins aren't exactly still canon, but you can't mention Bradley without picturing Mary.
Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
This is something that could have come off as silly and ironically self-serving, but it really does work in this universe. Contrasting the dulled PG-13 realities to this F-word-filled one. I would have loved to see flashbacks of things in those movies updated to R. Not really, it would have taken away from the tone of this film, but still, it's fun to dream.
It's pretty neat.
When you really analyze the importance of showing us this scene, it's some heavy-handed foreshadowing for what's to come. Shane was talking
Oh,
about
God,
guns or
dude,
gunslinger,
no.
which you could
He's
equate
right.
to old mutants versus new mutants.
God.
Promoting
I love Shane.
and a leotard can stop.
So, before, he had to be talking about Cyclops, right? Cyclops wrote the X-Men comics, which is why he's always the leader, even though in the movies he never really is. And then maybe he planted these actual location coordinates as a safe haven for mutants in danger. Good stuff. I love how they
Yeah.
set the seizure up as probably about to happen, and then right before, the camera starts to move erratically, leading up to a high-pitched whine fading in. Also, how the intensity increases as Logan moves closer to the source.
Yep.
Yeah, he's coming for you. This is one of the most creative, obviously brutal, and just plain awesome scenes in this film.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
And took the lives of 7 mutants, including several of the other.
It's funny, everyone was talking about how the broadcast got cut off and you don't actually hear the X-Men part, and I really didn't believe it until I watched it again. I could have sworn she actually said it. Also, the embedded subtitles confirm it in case anyone is still confused. It's sort of sweet that the one time Xavier uses his power purposefully in this film, it's to control the horses to help this family.
That's your daughter?
Yeah, that's Laura, and that's my dad, Chuck.
Chuck. He is a Chuck.
Yeah.
And another example of treating us like adults, and a sort of cliche subversion in that Logan responds in stride, like most people would. Not like movie characters usually do, where they telegraph their lying to the audience with a long pause and stutter.
Speaking to a man who ran a school for a lot of years, right, Charles? Really?
Amazing that in one of the most action-packed, gruesomely bloody films of the year, we're also given one of the most nostalgic, genuine, and heartwarming scenes.
It's really good.
For both these actors, this is their last crack at these characters. It's almost as if they're sincerely recounting the good times they had together as good friends do, which, come to find out, it was mostly improvised.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I think we all knew there was no typical happy ending for either of them going into this film, but Mangold does a good job of really setting us up for some hurt.
Look at them. Look like dinosaurs with their 20-ton bodies and tiny little brains.
Just be thankful they aren't infected with the symbiote.
No.
Oof.
All right, Rory is a win.
You love me.
I can't even with this. I'm not removing a win, even though I really want to. I know that I'm feeling exactly what Mangold wanted me to feel. Elation mixed with sorrow for Xavier's perfect night squarely being crushed by an unceremonious death. He deserved better. But in Logan's universe, there is no better. And it's made even more heart-wrenching and hammered even harder home when you remember Xavier said this.
You remember who I am now?
I always know who you are. It's just sometimes I don't recognize you.
And then it's just a no-holds-barred jaw-on-the-floor sequence. From the cavalier killing of the Munson family, reminiscent of the Hulk gang getting bored, leading up to Logan's first confrontation with his feral, more powerful, soulless younger self where he totally freezes. Then of course he freezes. X-24 represents everything Logan has been hiding from his whole life. His Weapon X past that haunts him. X-24 is the literal and actual embodiment of that beast.
Who the f*** is that?
Why, don't you know? It's the Hulk gang.
Beware the light.
Self-sacrifice wrapped up in a callback burn.
It's real good.
I thought Terminator vs. Terminator was awesome.
Fucking brutal,
Barney's
dude.
ain't got nothing on Jack.
Love that scene.
It's so good.
Saving your new... Well, yeah, I'll just die here then.
Well, he got stabbed in the heart. I mean, I know he wanted to get revenge for his family, but...
This score is so freaking dark. Yeah, that's an appropriate reaction. Pretty close to mine.
That was pretty close to mine
Actually,
right there.
this is a better representation.
Yep.
Yep.
And of course he pulls away from her. His worst fears were just again confirmed. Death follows him everywhere he goes. How could he possibly open himself up to Laura?
Does not exist. No, it's a fantasy.
Fun fact, if we're allowed to have fun facts in this film. Yeah, fun fact. When Daphne originally read for this part, she did it the way Mangold wanted, and then she asked if she could improvise a bit. Needless to say, the version that made it into the film is much closer to her improvised audition with Hugh Jackman cursing at the top of his lungs at her. And she punched him right in the face. Except for the most part, there isn't a whole lot of advanced tech, even though we're in the future. Reavers have robotic arms, sure, but even their enhancements are downplayed. Other than a few interactive screens and fancy billboards, it's pretty post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Another scene of
Such
Logan
a
being
good
raised up,
touch.
but this time towards the light instead of towards the pain. Again, the awe in their faces upon meeting their hero for the first time.
No, I keep it to, Actually, I was thinking of shooting myself.
Some honesty, that's really a first step in Logan accepting Laura as an equal and not just a kid that culminates in the end when he relies on her for his plan. Wolverine.
That got me. That made me laugh.
That's where we will be safe.
Not that it really matters, but we're all leaning towards Alpha Flight, right? The Canadian superheroes? Why else would Rice say...
We need to reach them before they get to the border.
Not like they'd respect national boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Talk about a cold forearm.
Nice try.
Didn't know I needed to be afraid of pine needles. Thanks, movies.
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
Oh man, do I love this forest slaughter. Logan's last beast run where he's the baddest, badass good guy. The look on Laura's face when she realizes he really is coming to rescue her. And the mere fact that Logan has switched back into hero mode to protect his daughter.
Yep.
Get behind me.
Maybe it's not the most edifying father-daughter team-up, but come on. Father-daughter teamwork.
It's so good.
Therapy discreetly through everything from sweet drinks to breakfast cereals, and it worked. Random mutancy went the way of polio.
So this film is a character study drama at its core. But this news about the corn syrup comes as something of a revelation. What impresses me is the number of times cane wood and corn syrup and the energy drinks come up and how they've been dropping hints throughout the movie at the true cause of the mutant extinction.
Dangerous times, James, you can't.
Oh, I love that. As if the writers and movie of Logan's life itself was trying to go down a typical monologuing moment and Logan said, nah.
No,
To quote Valentine,
kind of
this ain't
pulled a
that kind
Doom
of
guy
movie.
there.
And the deeper subtext of how Laura would know the signal,
Laura, you'll know when.
is even more fun. Other than, killing that dude. Earlier, Logan says,
I don't like guns.
we know that to be true of him as a character, so Laura, who also knows him as a character, would understand. And this is also the culmination of his trust in her as he finally sees her as an equal. I mean, you had it coming, bro.
Yeah. Dang.
Go!
I love that Logan knows. Yeah, that wouldn't have stopped me in my prime.
This is what it feels like.
And again, so many meanings, so many feelings. Earlier, Charles told Logan,
You should take a moment and feel it. People who love each other. Safe place.
to be loved, to have a family. And for one brief moment, he did.
Yep.
He's also finally getting his wish to die after a long, long life of torment and loss and not being able to die. And for the first time, someone he cares about, someone who has pushed their way into his heart, didn't die. And bringing it full circle back to the Wolverine, Yukio's prophecy came true after all, since he is holding his heart in his hand. Because what is the one thing that Logan is truly afraid of? What is the one thing that always ends up in heartache and pain for him? Love. Opening himself up to his daughter was a bigger antagonist than any giant robot or swarm of robots or guy in a robot suit. A beautiful, meaningful, and sacrificial death if there ever was one. With the death of Logan and Charles, as far as Laura is concerned, there are no more old or original mutants left. And recounting the quote from Shane is her way of honoring them. Got your X in there. And for this universe, for the things that Logan believed in, Charles, the X-Men, it really is appropriate. Talk about a tone shift from last week's Spider-Man. If there were two opposite ends of the spectrum, I think these are it. Logan is a Western meets road film meets comic book movie meets family drama. Not genres you'd think you could mix and match, but by golly, Mangold did it. Well, to be fair, Jackman, Stewart, Holbrook, and Daphne Keane helped quite a bit. But I have to be honest, I still have mixed feelings about this movie. I woke up the morning after feeling just down. Like waking up the morning after a pet had run away, or found out a friend was upset with you, or, well, after watching The Red Wedding. I think the best
Glad
way
Heather's
for
not
me to
here
enjoy
for
this
that.
movie, I do, would be to sort of quarantine it from the X-Men films in my mind, and much like Old Man Logan, allow it to exist in an alternate universe. I can say I didn't know I was signing up to see Professor X dealing with dementia and the guilt of murdering a bunch of X-Men to then be murdered by who he thought was the last person he had in the world. That just felt off, and still do after watching it again. The initial sting is gone, but the impact this film has on my mind is a testament to itself, and probably more importantly, Jackman and Stewart's legacies in this series. And I don't need my movie-going experience to always be happy, chipper, kittens, and bunnies escapism. But it's not too often that two characters you've loved for almost 2 decades die in one film, with no hope for a future. At least with Next Gen's All Good Things, we were left with some hope. So, in removing this from the X-Men franchise in my brain, or applying the alternate reality framework like the comic, I'm able to appreciate the beauty of this film. And the beauty of Logan's death. Logan mentioned that they both could use some sleep. And that's the truth. Yeah. They've been through enough. While Xavier's unceremonious death leaves me wanting a little, there wasn't much happiness left for him in his state. And Logan's death capped off a desperate life with meaning. And first and foremost, that's what this film is about. Family and love. One thing I will say for the depressing outcome of this film is that all stories need to come to an end. Specifically, Logan's story was ending one way or another, in the very real sense that Hugh Jackman is done with the character, but also the truth that an aging Wolverine was losing his healing factor. How much longer could he lug around an adamantium skeleton while his body could no longer protect him from adamantium poisoning?
Yeah.
So in a very fitting and satisfying way, he goes out saving his daughter and passing the torch. And although he hopes she doesn't have to fight anymore, he did everything he could to make that her reality. Where Fox takes her story from here is up to them, obviously. I doubt they'll let her stay out of the fight completely, but I'd appreciate them choosing to honor Logan's sacrifice at least for a little while. Although, in the spirit of the tragedy that this film is, to continue Logan's torment even into death would be quite fitting. While I'm not a huge gore and viscera fan in general, mostly, making this movie PG-13 would have been the biggest mistake ever. The uneasy feeling you get throughout this film is completely deliberate. It's a visual way of allowing us to experience the tortured existence of Wolverine. And make no mistake, his life is torture. Even when he's not X-Menning, he's been cursed to be ripped off and beaten. Another part of marketing this film to adults is the ability to keep the plot simple and tell a character story. You don't need to constantly make sure the kids are engaged. And when you have a film that uses long scenes in between the action, especially for a comic book movie, you need to be able to rely on your actors.
That was my favorite book.
And Logan does that. The last thing that Stephen Merchant did to impress me was Wheatley. He channels a whole different persona in this film, and man does he deliver. I've raved over Boyd Holbrook quite a bit already, but he slides right into a Western villain role so perfectly. He made me want to go rewatch Narcos to pay closer attention to him. And what's great about his performance is how jovial he is. He's not a bad guy, he's just doing what he thinks and has been told is best. I'm still heartbroken that this is Patrick Stewart's send-off to Xavier. Not because it wasn't good enough or he wasn't honored enough, I'm just sad that he only got one glimmer of hope and happiness in an otherwise miserable existence at the end. But Stewart will always be one of my favorite actors, and he reminded me why in this film. Logan's response to his death feels totally real to me as well. And it might be one of Hugh Jackman's best acted moments as Wolverine. He truly had no words. And, I mean, if there was ever someone deserving of an Oscar nod in a comic book movie, Jackman left it on the screen.
There you go.
I wanted that.
I really am blown away
Maybe
by
not
his
a win, but a nom
and
at least.
How amazing he was makes Daphne's believability even more impressive. She had to hang with some seasoned actors who've been doing this for a long time, and she did it. Can't wait to see what she does next. But I know what you came here for. I know what you want. Logan is nothing if not the full tilt showcase of Wolverine and Friends brutality.
Blanket warning.
Yeah.
God damn.
Hey, man.
It is better in black and white.
Woohoo! Oh. Oh, that scream, baby. Rip them up, son. Rip them up. Night, night.
Mm-hmm.
The new Quesalupa from Jakub.
Hey friends, thanks for watching. If you enjoy my videos and love positivity and optimism when it comes to movies, games, TV, and more, you need to do yourself a favor and check out my new friends at Wisecrack. I've been watching their content for years and I'm always entertained. Seriously, they're one of the few channels I get excited about when I see a new video posted. And if you want to learn more about Logan, they actually let me know they have their own video about Logan right around the corner. So subscribe to them and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. And if you're from the future, like the host of Earthling Cinema, Garrett's Wormuloid, click the link to go there now. Or check out their video uncovering the hidden meaning.
Look at them eyebrows.
Let them know CinemaWins.
Those are some eyebrows.
Me, tell them I said.
He should be a
Or
warlock.
links to their channel in the description.
Just saying, man.
Oh,
Also,
man.
just...
So the utter optimism that you get from CinemaWins.
This is so good. He went through... He did a legitimate critique of the movie. Which, in all honesty, that felt like a more legitimate and grounded video than anything I've seen from CinemaSins in a long time.
Well, here's the thing.
Like CinemaSins, they make some legitimate critiques, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But this got into not just, what was cool about this movie, but why we like movies.
Well, yeah. Here's a theory that I have about CinemaWins and CinemaSins is that CinemaWins, they point out everything great about great films. Now they do have bad films on here.
I mean,
case in point, they had The Last Airbender,
which I feel like we almost. You're not gonna like that I say this.
Go ahead.
I feel like we almost owe it to ourselves when we inevitably do Last Airbender as a Renegades masterpiece theater, because it will happen. It almost must.
Yeah.
We owe it to ourselves to watch that.
Fair enough. And we hear someone coming down the stairs. It is the Heatherino Supreme.
It was me versus Sonic and Sonic won.
I can tell by your teeth.
You
and your
wow.
tongue.
No, I've already brushed them.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
There are jokes I want to make, but I will do that off camera because it's quite rude.
So, okay, well, here's why I think CinemaWins or CinemaSins, whenever they do a video about a good film, it's great.
Oh yeah.
Whenever they do a video about a bad film, it's bad. CinemaSins, on the opposite, when they do a video about a bad film, it's good. But whenever they do a video about a good film, it's bad. That doesn't necessarily ring true, because there's some things I don't notice in films that I like.
Yeah.
That they point out, and I'm like, holy crap, I never noticed that. They're right. And then there's times where I'm just like, okay, that's just blatant. But honestly, it's their video. They can do what they want. This, on the other hand, I see this, and I'm just like, wow, this actually dives into the meat of the scene, and we actually see how everything plays out and how everything works.
Yeah, like it discusses more. It's less about sometimes what's happening in the movie and more about the movie itself.
Yeah.
Whereas, CinemaSins, it's nitpicky to the point of, like, sometimes there's blatant stuff, but sometimes you get so nitpicky as to the point of, why am I watching this?
Well,
like,
yeah.
This scene does not contain a lap dance.
Well, it's like
not that
I would
bit
add,
specifically,
it's
but
like
stuff on that.
Well,
level.
they don't do that anymore. They stopped doing that. I think ever since I think it stopped being funny.
But they still do stuff like that. They have moments where they will call out something that is a legitimately great thing in a scene just because they have to pad out the runtime.
Actually, they actually take off sins for great scene, because it's just like the Godzilla film that came out in 2014, the legendary Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
It was along the fence. Okay, I give it a mid grade, like a 6, like a 6 out of 10.
I was amazed that we didn't get any, that all the Bryan Cranston we got was all there was.
Yeah,
it was like,
if
Bryan Cranston,
if Bryan Cranston would have been in the film more, if he would have helped throughout the film, I would have liked the film a lot more, because I like Bryan Cranston.
He's a good actor.
But that being said, there was stuff in that film I found to be awesome. And CinemaWins, same thing. It's just like when we first see Godzilla and you hear him roar for the first time. Like I remember watching that video, the CinemaWins video, and you hear Godzilla roar, and then the CinemaWins voice comes on and says, "Holy shit! Even Liam Neeson just pissed himself. Remove 3 sins." And then the next one on, it was he gave a sin to when Godzilla attacked the one kaiju that was at the that was going after the one guy on the boat after he'd blown up the eggs and everything, and then all of a sudden Godzilla stops him from getting to him, and he's just like, okay, Godzilla's a massive creature. You would have at least heard some footsteps in the background. Just saying. And the next thing you know, he immediately he doesn't say anything. He just shows Godzilla doing the atomic breath into the thing's mouth and like its head falling off, and immediately it's like you hear him remove 5 cents. Doesn't say a word.
Yep.
And I'm just like, merited, very well merited, because that was. Look, the fight scene at the end of that film, even though it took place in almost total darkness and you couldn't make out half the stuff that was going on, was, I thought, very well done. Now, if they do another Godzilla film, I hope and pray that they actually give us like more action beats, because we never saw any of the fights, like big fights, until like the very end of the film, in which how Gareth Edwards stated that he wanted to approach this Godzilla film is Godzilla's sort of like Jaws. You see hints of him throughout the film, and then at the end of the film, there's a big blow off whenever the story is predominantly ran by Godzilla.
Yeah.
Because just like at the end of the film, instead of the thing that's driving the lore forward is Brody and Hooper and all of them on the boat. Instead, now it's Jaws, because Jaws has pretty much taken over.
Yeah.
He's taken over the situation and has the advantage. Now, same thing with Godzilla. Godzilla took over at the end of the film. The problem is Godzilla's not a shark in the sea.
Godzilla's
Godzilla.
Godzilla's a big old boy.
Yeah, it's hard to hide that. Look, I appreciate what Gareth Edwards was trying to do. It's just the approach to that. There's different ways you could have gone about it and potentially like portrayed Godzilla like maybe Godzilla was the one causing all of this. Maybe you could have shown that, but at the same time, it runs the risk of falling flat, because I would have left the appeal up to, is Godzilla, the force of nature, back to being the force of nature that he used to be, or is Godzilla, trying to assist humanity in rebalancing the odds and reestablishing himself as the apex predator? I mean, it's really up to that. I mean, how they wanted to approach that could have been any way done, but the way they did it, I felt was lackluster. That's just how I feel. But honestly, for me, how CinemaWins breaks down videos and breaks down movies and everything is so good, and it's so good to go over all of the good things that have happened. Because, you know, being negative's fun sometimes. You know, like being like ripping in, like us riffing into Twilight was some of the most fun I've ever had. Us riffing on Twilight was some of the most fun.
Here's the thing, though, with Twilight, if we didn't laugh, we'd cry.
I know. Well, and that's the thing. Us riffing into that's one thing. CinemaSins video on Twilight, hilarious. Now, I guarantee you, CinemaSins has a video on this, and I guarantee you, if we watched it, we'd probably not like it as much as we like this.
But, like, the simple fact that he gets into the whole movie from a cinematic standpoint.
Well, yeah.
Not just as, like, you know, let's go through this and pick over everything. He's looking at, like, a whole movie.
Yeah.
Which I find kind of refreshing.
I do too.
It's nice to see a discussion on that level instead of just like, let's just nitpick about this. You know, he's talking scene construction. You know, he's talking score. He's talking all of that.
Behind the scenes action.
Behind
like
the
Daphne
scenes.
Keane and all that. Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I thought this video was great.
You weren't even here.
Well, she knows how CinemaSins operates. She's actually seen more CinemaWins videos than you.
Mm-hmm.
So she's at the advantage here. But all right.
This one was just the best.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. This was everything great about Logan from CinemaWins. If you have enjoyed this, feel free to click the link down below. It will take you to the original video. Check out CinemaWins and all their videos they have on their channel. They have a multitude of films for you to choose from. Like, literally, anything and everything you want to choose from to watch, it's right there. It's right there on their channel. And anything you want, and if you want to see more of us, there is also a link down below to our Discord and our Patreon as well, where you can watch our videos up to a week early. So, yeah. If you want to check that out, feel free. And until next time, signing off, I'm Nate.
I'm Ben.
I'm Heather.
Micah.
And we'll see you later, everyone. Peace out.
Why did I come back?